Welcome to JasonWhiskyWise. My name is Jason. Welcome to this whiskey review, where today here on the channel, we're going to be reviewing the Kilkerran 12-year-old. And I'm going to be also comparing it to the Kilkerran 8-year-old, which I reviewed in the last video. So if you have missed that, I'll leave it in the top corner as a card, and I'll also leave it at the end of the screen, probably here or here or here, so you guys can go and check it out and see the differences between the two. So I was lucky enough when I was in Campbelltown last year to pick up this bottle for £32, and I also saw these two on the shelf right next to each other in the Cadenhead shop, and I was like, you know what, I've got to go and pick up both of them, as it's something, if I don't, I'll probably regret it, as in London, we don't get to see them very often, and when they do come in, they're gone like that. So I picked up a dram from Drinks by the Dram, and this was actually before I went to Campbelltown, so I thought may as well finish off this one, and then we'll get into the bottle. So got that poured. Let's get into the review. So this is a Kilkerran 12-year-old. There's two core bottlings, and this was the actual first ever expression, which is the core bottling since 2004, when they reactivated everything. It's a 12-year-old whiskey, bottled at an ABV of 46%. The cask combination for this one is, I believe, 70% bourbon and 30% sherry, to what I've read online. The distillery itself is the Glengyle Distillery. They're owned by the parent company, J&A Mitchell, who also owns Springbank, Longrow, Hazelburn, but mainly Springbank. And then it's located in the Campbelltown region of Scotland. So a really great region. I highly recommend. If those of you who like, you know, Glen Scotia, Kilkerran, Springbank, Longrow, Hazelburn, go and check out this region if you're visiting Scotland. It's a 4-hour drive from Glasgow, but it is so worth it just to see that area. It used to be the largest whiskey production region in the whole of Scotland. It used to have, I think it was around 37 active distilleries. It used to be around about 37 active distilleries. Today, it only has 3. The local Tesco's and Co-op used to be distilleries. It's incredible when you walk around the area just to see how that region was and what it is today. So Glengyle, for those of you that don't know, a little fun fact before we get into the actual tasting. Glengyle is only active 6 weeks in a year. When I was on the tour over there, I actually asked the tour guide, I said, you know, no one's working here today. It's a really small distillery. Everything's really close by. And he goes to me, well, we're only active 6 weeks in a year. The rest of the time, we need to fill the washbacks with water, just so they don't, you know, shrink, and then you have to, you know, get them all changed. And sometimes when you fill them up with water and you leave them too long, the wood just sort of cracks, and, you know, you're left with, you have to replace them either way. So it's quite a shame, but I think, you know, fingers crossed in the future, they can get that becoming, you know, a completely all year round use from the Glengyle Distillery. Sorry, correction over there. So it's called Glengyle, but that name doesn't belong to J&A Mitchell. I believe it belongs to the Loch Lomond Group. So they actually named the whiskey Kilkerran. And this specific sign over here is from a little thing. You can actually see the cathedral, and I'll probably put a picture of that over there on screen. So that's enough of me talking about the whiskey. This is around about £40 here in London. I picked up this for £32. It's not exclusive, as it is part of their core range. Let's get into the nosing notes. And so starting us out on the nose, the Kilkerran 12. Straight away, I'm getting like, it's like a little soft smoke, where it's almost like, to me, it reminds me of a burnt match that you've just blown out, and you can smell that little bit of smoke lingering around you. And from that, you then go into this, like, it's like clove, but like clove water. It's not an intense clove character, it's like a clove water. It does have that slight minerally note, and I know Campbelltown is near the coast, but it really is not as heavy as the, for example, the 8-year-old, which I had just before. Now there is also notes of sour green apples. Maybe a combination of sour green apples, but juicy ones, but at the same time sour green apple loops, which are dried. And this giving a little bit of a different dimension to the whiskey. It's interesting, I'm getting like, it reminds me of this fruit juice we get actually from one of the European shops here in London, but it's like a combination of apple and mint, where I'm really getting this mint character coming through. It's not powerful, but it's just there and it is present. And continuing on from that, there is a little hint of this like vanilla fudge, but there is a note which is very interesting, and I like to say Campbelltown funk, but this to me reminds me of, you know, when you've just done an undercoat of paint and you let the paint to dry, it reminds me as if you've sniffed that paint as it's drying. It just gives you this really interesting character, but that's what I'm getting with this Kilkerran 12. Very interesting. Let's go to the palate next. Slanger. So getting us started now into the actual palate for the Kilkerran 12. I've set my glass down because I've got a hand movement going on, but it's quite light compared to some of the other whiskies that I like. It's got a nice refreshing character, a little bit of lemon sherbet, lime zest. And the light character brings across this malty presence as well. Almost like malted biscuits, sweet malt, barley sugars. A bit of cedarwood as well, quite, a different approach than your regular whiskies. There is a little bit of white pepper, adding a little bit of heat, but it's ever so gentle. And I'm more or less finding this almost like a salted butter. If any of you guys like your toast in the morning, you can get, your regular butter, but you can also pick up a salted butter. It really reminds me as if you just take a little scraping of that and just put it on your tongue. You get this little salty character about it, but at the same time creaminess, which is really great. And if you guys ever go to Campbelltown or if you're near any coast, you get that sort of briny character coming off the air, just exactly like that, with a bit of sea salt finding its way through just on the end of the Kilkerran 12. I'm just really loving this whiskey. It's just great stuff. Let's get into the finish, and I'll give you guys my concluding notes into the finish. So finally, to give my concluding notes on the Kilkerran 12-year-old. This is one of those whiskies that I have to say has been really impressive. It's got a nice, lengthy, long finish to it. In terms of tasting notes on the finish, I'm getting like a millionaire shortbread, like a Scottish shortbread actually. Getting a combination of sea salt, and this is like, the proper sea salt cubes. Star fruit coming through, a little bit of a bitter, drying character. But as that goes through, and as that sort of continues on the palate, you do get this nice, sweeter character that sort of develops on. Really giving you, I think there's something that, it's a great 12-year-old whiskey. In terms of my concluding notes and my actual score, this is getting a 90 out of 100. This is one of those whiskies that I really think is just, incredible for a 12-year-old whiskey. I've tried a lot of 12-year-old whiskies this year, and a lot of them I've seen a lot of improvement. The first time I ever tried the Kilkerran 12, I thought it was maybe an 87 out of 100. However, after trying it a couple other times, and even trying it in Campbelltown, this is getting a 90 out of 100. It's been a very impressive whiskey, and you can see the trajectory of the Glengyle Distillery with their Kilkerran expressions, that they're going in a right direction. If they keep doing this, they're going to be doing fantastic stuff. So do keep an eye out for the Kilkerran 12. If you like that little bit of a salty, citrusy character, the way I could summarize it in 2 words actually, salty citrus. Really interesting coastal characters. Do I think this is value for money at 32 to 40 pounds? Yes, I do. Really great value for money for a whiskey, that gives you those characters. Do I think it needs water? Do I think it needs time? A little water doesn't hurt it, and doesn't need time. Again, it's optional, as this whiskey I think is one of those ones that straight away from the peel, pour and sip, it's great to go. So that's going to be it for this video. If you guys have enjoyed, again, drop it a thumbs up. It's always appreciated. Hit the subscribe button as it helps us grow the channel. At the same time, also, I'll leave the Kilkerran 8-year-old video up on screen. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. Thank you all for your support on the series of the Kilkerran Glengyle Distillery. And we'll see you tomorrow for another video. Slanger.